as you might have heard in the news headlines today, changes have been made to the green list. Eoghan Corry, editor of Air and Travel magazine, is on the line. Eoghan, what changes have been brought in?
Well, we've got a smaller green list than we anticipated. A lot of noise was made earlier the week that we would be aligning with European policy on international travel and connectivity, but it does seem that we're moving probably the other direction. What appears to have happened is that the Department of Foreign Affairs, who were abrogated this responsibility, or so Micheál Martin said 48 hours ago, have taken countries that have a lower level over the last 14 days of infection than the number 25, which is about half of our infection level at the moment. And they've listed those countries, very important, Poland and Germany, hugely significant countries for Ireland for different reasons. Germany, big inbound destination anyway, but Poland, 120,000 Polish people live in Ireland, and a lot of disconnected families. They're in the green list. But sadly, a lot of countries like Italy and Greece have been now removed from the green list. We're not sure the criteria for doing that, but it leaves a big question mark over, for instance, the Corfu flight, which is departing tomorrow morning. I gather the Heraklion flight has been cancelled, but the Zante flight going out at the weekend. Instead of getting an end to a period of total confusion, we're actually moving into further confusion.
What happens if people have holidays or trips booked? Is there a possibility, does insurance cover if things are cancelled because of going onto orange list? If you cancel it yourself because it's no longer recommended by government, is there any possibility that you get money back?
Possibility of money back is really at the behest of the supplier at this stage. The insurance companies have been telling people to go back to the airline if they have to pull out, and if the airline doesn't give the refund, they will then look at the claim. They don't say they'll pursue it, they'll say they'll look at the claims on a case-by-case basis. What we've seen in the real world, as opposed to the world which was before March, where there are European Package Directive and EU 261 guarantees for consumers to get their money back, all of that is still the law. But what we've seen actually happening is that if the flight departs, people are not being given refunds. A large number of flights, more than around, it would be about just under 100 a day. It was more than 100 a day, but the number of flights in and out of Dublin have come back a little bit in the last 2 weeks, are leaving every day, and they're not going to green list countries. And people who decide they cannot travel are not getting their money back. This is a big issue because civil service employees are being told they will not be paid, they have to self-isolate when they return, and a lot of companies are implementing similar policies. So it's put yet again, and we've seen this again and again since the start of this crisis, the consumer is the one who's being put to the torch here and are being asked to forfeit their money. And that's sadly the case out of the announcement that's come out of today.
Yeah, if that Corfu flight takes off tomorrow morning and you're meant to be on it and you don't want to go on it because it's not on the green list, you could be out of pocket. There might be no recourse for you. What is the advice for travelling to green list countries? Is there any advice? Because initially, even on the green list, it had been essential travel only. Has that changed?
Kieran, the problem here is that every time a minister passes an open microphone, that policy seems to change. We've had Leo Varadkar saying that the all but essential travel, the DFA advice, all but essential, applies to non-green list countries. So you have a Department of Foreign Affairs website and a TravelWise app telling you can travel. But public health policy, as framed by NEFIT and repeated by government ministers when they were giving interviews, is that you should have look at the reason for travelling. And, it's not all but essential, but it's morally unpatriotic or something if you travel, if your reasons aren't good enough. Now, what Leo Varadkar has suggested in the last few days is that, that the green list countries' normal connections, normal life will return for those. But again, Leo Varadkar is not in charge. We've seen so many indications, particularly on the travel industry, where Leo Varadkar is warmer on travel than some of his colleagues in the cabinet, especially from the health side, Stephen Donnelly, but also the Taoiseach Micheál Martin. To say this is being, we were offered, promised well in advance, Tuesday would clear up this enormous confusion about travel. To say it hasn't been cleared up at all. And in fact, the looking back on what was said on Tuesday, alignment with Europe, which would have put all but 6 countries on our green list. It would have been the green and amber list for Europe, which is unrestricted travel. That's the European policy. It's gone out to the nations. A lot of them have unofficially adopted it. There would only be 6 countries we wouldn't be allowed to travel with. 2 significant, France and Spain, whose numbers are off the charts at the moment. What we've got is 7 countries in a green list, and it looks more like a soundbite than an actual attempt to align us with Europe.
Can I ask you on just the mechanics of it? Like, if some Bavarian wants to come to Ireland now, because their numbers are low, they can come in here. Do they have to isolate, or are there any checks on them coming in here? And because Irish cases are high, just because we've put them on a green list, we're probably not on Germany's green list. So what are the implications for me going to Bavaria if I want to go to Munich for the weekend?
It's all on the Irish side. The Germans have no restrictions on people travelling to and from Ireland. In fact, none of the 27 countries have put us on any level of alert. Everybody from their side can go to Ireland and come back without having to self-isolate. We're the ones who are insisting that people who come here, be they business people on holidays, someone to have to self-isolate for 14 days. That includes our nationals returning from countries which are not on the green list. Germany, that was the case until Monday. After Monday, Irish people returning from Germany, or people, Germans coming here, will not have to self-isolate.
Okay.
And the reverse is true for Italy and Cyprus.
All right. I'm not even going to ask you what happens if I go to Munich.
Italy and Greece. Cyprus.
Get a train down over the Italian border and visit Italy while I'm there, and then back to Germany and back home. This
is really interesting because again, it's policy from every time a minister gets near an open microphone. Simon Coveney did indicate very early on in the history of the Green List that someone passing through a third country, let's say UK is not on the Green List, but if you're coming back from one of the 7 countries, Estonia, Greece, Hungary, Italy, Norway and Slovakia, through France or England, you will not have to self-isolate despite the fact you travel through a third country. Again, that's the part of this. If this was law being implemented, there would be people looking at it in advance. What we're picking up as policy from ministerial statements, speeches and off-the-cuff remarks. And it's really, really, really trying. People have been very compliant. They want to do the right thing on the travel thing. They just don't want to do anything that puts the health of their family and the nation at risk. And they've been trying to comply with these travel policies from the beginning. But compliance needs a firm direction, or the sort of level of compliance fatigue will start settling in that we're seeing in some other countries.
Eoghan, thanks for your time. Eoghan Corry, editor.
Always a pleasure,
Travel
Kieran.
Magazine. I hope that's clear to everyone, because it's not clear to me, I can tell you that.